All right, everyone, welcome in to the final episode of 2024, episode 162. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas, or having a great Hanukkah, or having a great Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, as we prepare to ring in a new year. I'm Nick Phillip, as always, from Chattanooga, Tennessee, of the United States. Joining us from Greenfield, Indiana, of the United States is Jason Wyrick, and from Sao Paulo, Brazil is Gus Tomazeli. Guys, how are we doing with just a handful of hours to go in this year?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. First of all, hope everyone, is having a good holiday because I guess it's still in the holiday season and, could celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah. And I'm so thankful for this 2024 year, a year that started with you guys. So we had to finish the year because we started together 2024, I guess, even though remotely, we had to finish this 2024 year together. And of course, we had an amazing start of the year with the Citrus Bowl. We're going to talk about all the Citrus Bowl that happened today down in Orlando. But I'm just grateful to be here in our last two countries, two Americas, all sports episode of 2024.
Yeah, you said it, Gus. It was a truly special beginning to the year in Florida, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of that, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of this today, and I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. And like we've done the past couple of years in the final episode of each calendar year, we just like to take a little bit of time and reminisce on the past year of sports. And I feel like 2024 has had a lot of insane moments in sports. And I just want y'all to kind of think about what are your favorite moments, sports-wise, from 2024. For me, definitely the top of the list, without question, is Tennessee baseball winning the national championship back in June on my birthday, the night of my birthday. Jason and I watched it together in Knoxville that night. A night I will truly never forget. I mean, getting that as a birthday present was incredible. And seeing the culmination of the work done by Tony Vitello and his entire program was awesome.
For me, of course, it has to be Rio Branco winning the A4, being a part of a team as a PR and living all the drama and all the ups and downs. And at the end, winning it all, that was for me the best sports moment. And even the best moment in this 2024 for me, definitely. But of course, notable moment too, of course, we watching Tennessee football winning the Citrus Bowl, which for me, it mattered a lot. Seeing Tennessee winning a trophy, something I didn't saw while I lived in Knoxville, but definitely my biggest moment was watching my beloved Rio Branco Sports Club winning it all at the Paulista A4.
Man, I resonate with both of those. Nick, if my moment didn't happen, the Vols baseball program winning the College World Series would 100% be my moment of the year. But my moment of the year is Indy 11 winning in the quarterfinal of the U.S. Open Cup in Atlanta against MLS Atlanta United, which, of course, you were there for as well. And Gus, I sent you some photos. I don't know if you're able to pull those up, but of Nick and I celebrating.
I think maybe Nick is able to do it.
All right, I'll make sure. I'll make sure they get sent one way or the other here. But I having a second division club and being able to go 9 hours away on an away day in the middle of the week and take 50 supporters down there to Atlanta and come out of there with a win. It was unbelievable. It was the biggest night in the history of the club. And it was just such a special moment. And Nick, I'm really glad you were able to be there for it as well. Even though it was your first Indy 11 match, you didn't really feel the emotion like I felt. It was still a special moment, and I'm glad that you were able to be there.
Yeah, it was a wild experience for me, and I had the photo pulled up, Gus. If you want to pull it up,
Okay.
of us all celebrating with the Indy 11 team and all of the Brickyard Battalion that came all the way down to Atlanta. Because you guys, I mean, that's like a 10-hour drive or something like that. From
It was
Indiana.
about 9, yeah. On a weeknight too. It was a Wednesday night.
Absolutely. And of course, as Jason mentioned, I have no connection to that club. That was my first time watching Indy 11 match. So obviously I was just like figuring out, all right, what should I chant right now? Because I mean, I didn't know any of the chants or anything, but obviously I know for Jason and all the folks that are around, I mean, that's huge. That was a massive win for them. So I'm glad I was able to at least get to be a part of that. If for anything else, then do you to understand just what that means to y'all?
Yeah, and I think truly, Gus, that kind of mirrors what you were speaking of with Rio Bronco. And if you want to go back to that picture real quick, if you can, I want to point something out here. I just I want to see. I want to point out what Nick and I are doing here because Nick is right behind me. Nick ran and hid like at the back because he didn't feel like he was deserving to celebrate with the players because he wasn't, a supporter like us. And so Nick is like behind me in this photo, but there I am, just, you can just see it on my face, this right in the middle left right there. You can just see the emotion, what it means to everybody in this picture, but especially myself and Amanda, the lady in the red jersey, slightly in front of me, like holding the badge. It was just unbelievable, and I wouldn't want to have spent that moment with anybody else. And then of course spending the having to getting to spend the Citrus Bowl with you guys both, and then the College World Series on campus with Nick. It was incredible.
Absolutely, and that's from the night of the national championship there on the HSS lawn. Yeah, so definitely some just massive moments, some massive wins for our team. In terms of other sports experiences this year, I can think of. For me, I got to go to my.
Go to the next one. I put other pictures of us, but go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, this is from after the Rio Bronco. Win. Yeah.
That was special. Like I had to call you guys to be a part of this moment. So that was one of the happiest calls I ever made.
Absolutely. And I noticed you're wearing Pacers gear in that. Of course, Pacers had, I would say, a pretty good 2024, making a good run.
This actually was the morning of Game 6 of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals against Milwaukee, where I think it was Game 6. Or maybe it was against the Knicks. It was the Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Eastern Conference quarterfinals against the Knicks to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I remember this because there's a photo of me, and I'm looking for it now, of me holding a sign at the Pacer game that says Hicks in 6. And, if regarding the Hicks versus Knicks jokes. Here it is. So this is me with my jersey on with the Hicks in 6. But that was the morning of that game. That was a great day.
Yeah, I mean that was a fantastic run. In terms of other runs too, for me, I remember the basketballs making a run to the Elite Eight for the second time in school history. And on the night of the Sweet 16, I went to a concert in Nashville, saw Sampha. So I saw the Sampha concert, then ran right next door to a sports bar and watched the end of the Creighton game, which was pretty awesome. And just really watching Dalton connect.
That gave me anxiety. That Creighton game, man, that was anxiety personified.
Yeah, I mean Dalton Connect in general, just probably my single favorite athlete I watched all year for any team, because the stuff he was doing for that basketball team in the early part of the year was incredible. Now, on the flip side, the loss of Purdue is probably the worst moment of this entire year. at least for me personally, because of how close we were to our first Final Four.
And how
losing
infuriating it was to watch.
Yep, and how familiar of an opponent that was to lose to Purdue. I mean, that was probably the single worst loss of the year in terms of what it meant. Like, obviously, Vol fans have the Ohio State loss much more in their minds. But let's be real, we were 7-point underdogs. It was on the road. In hindsight, it is what it is. Now, it's kind of funny. Like, I've not really mentioned Tennessee football on either end of this. And clearly, the best night football season was beating Bama. And being in Knoxville.
But I didn't even get to take part in that either. I was capoing Indy 11, just watching it from the capo stand. But we did sing Rocky Top in the Brickyard Battalion that night. We did. And it was fun. Yeah. Such a great night.
But, I mean, outside of being Bama, being Florida, to me, after we beat Vandy and just the realization that we were going to the playoffs, like, that was a really interesting feeling, of knowing that they had to accomplish the goal. Now, obviously, I wish they could have done more in the playoff, but still getting to that point was cool. And overall, I mean, for Tennessee athletics overall, it's just been fantastic. It's been a great year. Baseball national championship, basketball Elite Eight, football made it to the playoffs. I mean, you can't really be mad at that. And later on, I have a message to Tennessee fans, just foreshadowing that now.
Oh, I've got a message for Tennessee fans too, and I think it'll be a lot meaner and a lot shorter than yours.
Exactly. So I can't wait to get to that. Also, probably one of the more chaotic races too. I went to the national race back in June, and that went to like 8 overtimes or something, which shouldn't happen. NASCAR needs to get rid of the overtime system. But still, watching it in person, and Joey Logano won that race. And he ultimately ended up winning the championship because of, once again, NASCAR's messed up championship format. But to know that I ended up going to the one race that really mattered, and it's after like an hour rainstorm, was kind of cool. I don't know. It was certainly a memorable experience, and was set up to be like a legitimately good finish until it just turned into a wreck fest. But I mean that's every other NASCAR race anyway. Also, I'll say this: probably one of the most entertaining sports events of the year, the ending of the Indianapolis 500. That's when I think back to May, the Alex Palou versus Joseph Newgarden. Newgarden pulling off the brazen pass in the turn 3. That might have been like the single. Good. Yeah, that in my opinion, that was the best single 500 I ever had watched.
We got to get you up here for that. We really do.
Yeah, and then the whole drama of will Kyle Larson make it to Charlotte? That was epic, and he didn't make it because of the tornado outbreak that happened that day. So, yeah. But in any case, those are definitely some of the biggest moments. And also in terms of the negative side, I would say the U.S. men bowing out in the group stage at the Copa America, like that was just a complete and utter failure.
I'm used to it at this point. We are who we are.
Yeah, and of course the entire Tennessee Titans season just bad.
That was one of the highlights of my year.
Like there were no positives to be taken. But
speak for yourself. It was nothing but positives on my end.
Right. Anyway, so that's kind of a look back at 2024. And usually, like in the next episode, we'll kind of think about what's coming up in 2025 in the first episode of the new year. But definitely nice to look back at what was a very eventful year in the world of sports. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Yankees-Dodgers game 1 too. Epic match there. All right, let's get into some football.
Before that, I want to give a big shout out to my grandma, Emilia Camargo, watching us. Hey, grandma, oi, vó. Boa noite, vó. Watching us in Americana, Sao Paulo. And just want to give a big shout out. Oi, vó. Boa noite, vó Emilia.
Absolutely. Shout out to them. So we have the quarterfinal round of college football playoffs upon us. It begins in a little bit under 45 minutes. Right now, LSU Baylor is the only football game on. LSU is about to win this 44-31 in Houston in the Texas Bowl, Garrett Nussmeier, with over 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, might be a top 10 draft pick next year. So who knows? In any case, let's go for the 4 matchups here. We'll kind of just talk about what we think is going to happen. So the first game tonight is the Fiesta Bowl. The Boise State Broncos make their playoff debut against Penn State. Ashton Jeanty, Drew Allar, James Franklin. What do we think happens here? Do we think Boise State has a shot at this upset?
Look, man, I don't think you're getting a better game than the Sun Bowl. So sorry in advance to everybody else that didn't get to see that. But I think Boise State is Boise State's gonna put up a really strong fight. I think Ashton Jeanty is probably gonna go for 150 plus tonight, all-purpose yards. I may go ahead and put a bet on that. I'm pretty confident 150 all-purpose for Jeanty, and I think as long as he can move the football, Boise State's going to have a chance. Penn State's good, but Boise State is electric on offense. And so I think this is going to be a game where, I think Boise State's going to hang in there a lot longer than people think, but ultimately I do think Penn State's going to pull away at the end, and it's going to look a little uglier than it probably should look on the scoreboard.
Gus?
I think, first of all, the college football playoff committee or system really wants this game to be competitive, because as of this current playoffs, there were 0 from 4, no competitive games between Texas, Clemson, Notre Dame, Indiana, even our beloved Tennessee Volunteers, blowout against Ohio State.
It was close before the kickoff.
Yeah, all of them.
Hey, it was only an 11-point deficit at halftime.
Man, I was so confident going into halftime, too. We're getting the ball only down by 11. I was so confident. I thought, we're going to come out, we're going to score again. We're right back in this. But nope.
Yeah. But what you were saying, Gus, though, and that's the point I wanted to bring up. I think there is going to be a lot of hell raised if neither Boise State nor Arizona State put up a competitive fight in their playoff games. Because if Penn State routes Boise State and then Texas routes Arizona State, there's going to be a lot of people sitting around asking, okay, why did we expand the playoff?
Can I say something real quick? This is not a playoff problem. This is a format problem. Auto buys have to change, period. That's the story. The auto buys have to change. The way this is seeded must change.
I think the conference champion, I think the Big Four conference champions, the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, and ACC should be in the playoffs because they won their conference. But it's ludicrous to think that the Power 5 conference and the Big 12 conference, as much as they did a great season, should have auto buys and kind of reward Penn State and Georgia that lost their conference championships and ended up having some say easy route to the semis.
Yeah, we have to question whether or not even conference champions should get the buys as well, in addition to the whole auto bid problem.
I think so.
Well, this isn't college basketball, though. College basketball gets away with it because the conferences don't have that much of a gap between them.
But
look at the
but if the conference champions aren't given a spot in the playoffs, you would probably see some sort of a boycott.
Look, I don't have a problem with the auto bid. Getting them into the playoff, not a problem. But they should not have a bye week to the second round. They should.
No, yeah, I agree with you. 100%.
Okay. I think you and I, Gus, we're on the same page here, I think.
Yeah,
I misunderstood you. That's on me.
No, but I think it's more radical in terms to that.
right. Well, and we'll have to talk about the SEC's performance here in the bowl games in a moment, because it might be put into bed maybe some SEC supremacy narratives that particularly I have been pushing. But I think in terms of like Boise and Arizona State should not be having automatic buys at all. They both should have had to go on the road in the first round, along with SMU and Clemson. Because I believe the playoff format would have been, and I believe Brett McMurphy tweeted this out earlier about what it would have looked like. And it basically would have been Clemson at Notre Dame. It would have been Arizona State at Notre Dame. It would have been Clemson at Ohio State.
Now this is if the reseeds didn't happen for the conference champions, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It would have been SMU at Tennessee, and then Indiana at Boise State at Indiana.
Which all of those games make sense, and they are better games. 100%.
Yeah. Like Tennessee and Ohio State should not have had to play in the first round, nor should Oregon have to play Ohio State tomorrow.
No.
Like Oregon Ohio State probably should be the national championship game. And
you are rewarding your two primary conferences. You are rewarding their two champions with rematches of the conference championship games, basically.
Oh yeah,
and that's stupid. The semifinals, your final four in the playoff need to be Georgia, Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. And this format, you're trying to push this narrative here that the Big 12 and the ACC are good football conferences. Good teams can come from them, but they are not good conferences. Generally speaking, top to bottom, the Big 10 and the SEC miles above everybody else.
Oh,
and let's not pretend like that's not true.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to pretend that is not true, but as you said, it's 100% true. And
I fully expect Arizona State to get boat raced by Texas tomorrow. It's going to be another bad game, and it's because of the format. The format is stupid, and it's going to continue to produce stupid results. And you're going to get a more entertaining game tomorrow between Ohio State and Oregon than the national championship's going to end up being, because you're going to end up having a conference championship of a bum team that doesn't deserve to be there with the team that wins the championship.
Absolutely. And Gus, I do have what that reseeded bracket would look like if they just went off rankings and didn't reseed for the conference champions.
Now, but before that, now I want to give a big shout out. Now my grandma's watching. Oi, vó, boa noite, vó. Obrigado por me assistir. My grandma, by the way, went to a Tennessee game in 2015 in Nissan Stadium against Bowling Green. So shout out. But talking about the reseeding, I think that would be a fair system. This kind of format, because you would because with this new system, it kind of say, oh, you can have the great season like Ohio, like Penn State did, or even Georgia did, but it doesn't matter because you're gonna get a lower seed. But then you have an incentive like Tennessee, like Ohio State, and like Penn State and Georgia had to lose their conference champions to get a easier route. Oh, Penn State and Texas, but I mean, I feel like the system has to be reviewed.
All right, shout out to Polar Knights on Twitch. They say, I love this show. It is every stage of beard growth.
Oh, thank you.
I'm the one with no beard, so basically. So
that's hilarious, actually. I love that.
Yeah.
I've got more underbeard that I have to shave soon than you have actual beard, Nick.
Yeah. Now, if I really just go a very long time, it does actually grow out. But for TV reasons, I don't do that.
You see, problems I don't have. I got the face for radio. That's perfect.
Yeah. And of course, they say Happy New Year from Norway, from Polar Knights. And also Aaron Young Friend Arian says FBS needs to do what the FCS does for their playoffs. 24 teams. And I actually created what a 24-team playoff would look like. Okay, so I'm going to pull
You
this
have my
up.
attention.
Yes. So I have a proposal for what this would look like.
I was going to put it.
Let's see it then.
Yeah. Here, I'm trying to figure out where is it at? Because I have it right here. All right. All right. So you see that so these are kind of like my rules, basically. So we have a 5-round tournament. Top 8 seeds get a bye first round like FCS. Every conference champion of conferences of at least 6 teams. Sorry, Pac-12. Get guaranteed a spot. So like Washington State and Oregon State are basically excluded in this format. First 2 rounds are on campus. All top 16 seeds get to host 1 game. Every conference champion gets a top 16 seed to have that home game. And so there is like that seeding issue in this kind of too. Each round would be reseeded, quarterfinals, semifinals, and NY6 bowls, and a title game as normal. So my top 8 seeds would be Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Tennessee, Indiana. And then here would be the first round playoff games. I think this would actually be Missouri. Fine. Correct. So Missouri, Boise State, Iowa State, SMU, Colorado at Arizona State, BYU at Clemson. And then down here, this is something that could be talking.
What a wild matchup that is. An Alabama Derby? Okay.
Yeah. Alabama at Jacksonville State, South Carolina at Ohio, Miami at
Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
As much crazy and improbable and fun games, definitely the Big 4 conferences wouldn't go for it. You know that's not happening.
No, this is wild, and I love it, but no, I have to agree. I think it's unrealistic. I love what Aaron says about doing the FCS style playoffs, but I think it needs to be smaller. I think you can go probably 16 and get away with it. I think that's about as far as you can go.
Right. And then like
12,
if I didn't,
is a good number anyway.
And about to say, because like if I didn't do the reseeding, right? If I just did it by pure rankings, but making sure, and you can tell I've made a lot of imaginary brackets in my day. So it'd be Boise State, SMU, and then I believe, if I remember correctly, it'd be Alabama. South Carolina, Miami. Because I'm just curious what these other matchups would be. Ole Miss. But, like, I don't know. Do you think that, like, if we had a 24-team playoff, would you do the at G5 teams, or would you make them go on the road?
You got to follow the rankings. You can't just tell them to go to hell because they're in a group of 5.
Right. So I'm pretty sure it would look something like this. And then you would have still Colorado at Arizona State. You'd have Iowa State here going to Ole Miss. And then you would have Missouri going to Miami. And then the last 4 would be, how about this? Army at South Carolina. Marshall at Alabama. Ohio at SMU. And then Jacksonville State at Boise State.
That's so wild.
Yeah. I love the just the chaotic nature of that, but I
think in my propose would be to have like we can have even 14 teams, and only the first the number maybe number one and maybe continue the 12, but only or even do 14, but only the number one and number two get the auto bids, but not by winning the conference, but being the best number one and number two. And then, from 3 to 12, 11, 4 to 11, 5, 10, 6, 9, 7 to 8, do the matchups. It's simple. No brainer.
Yeah, the problem is, though, the bowl games will have an absolute fit. And that's the other equation of this. You have to divorce the bowl system from the playoffs.
I don't think you have to do that.
I think I made a suggestion in a WhatsApp group of a Brazilian fans college football. I say, why don't you create an NIT system based with the rest of the bowl games that are meaningless? Like, whoever wins, the bowl games, keep until somebody wins the, some form of NIT, at least making the bowl games somewhat, relevant.
Football is too physical of a sport, I feel like, for that to work necessarily.
And in a perfect world would it make sense, but with all the transfer portal and leaving transfer portal and stepping out of bowl games, you don't want more meaningless postseason games in college football.
I'll tell you what, there was a really meaningful game played today at 2:00 in El Paso, Texas, with a whole ton of opt-outs, and I'm sure we'll get to that. But Gus, I want to take your idea and I want to kind of flip it on its head real quick. What if you use those bowl games? You take your four, highest bidding bowl games, for instance, and you put the first round of the playoffs at those bowl games, at the Pop-Tarts Bowl or the Citrus Bowl or whatever. And I don't think that an NIT style playoff. So if you do your top 12, then take the next 8 and do an NIT style playoff for them as well. I think that would work. 100%. I think that would work. Now you may have to come up with a few more bowl games, but who's gonna complain about that? Because that's free money. It's free advertising money, free TV money to get those on there.
But I guess in terms of fan excitement, and you guys are a testimony for that, it kind of gave a new fresh having home field advantage. That was probably what gave this new format some sort of a fresh idea, having on-campus playoff games. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon.
On campus was fun. It was.
I just quick shout out to my friend and Corinthians fan, Miguel Ribeiro, in Salvador, Bahia, beautiful city, saying happy 2025. But yeah, I mean, I think, I don't think the system is going to change, or, the first round be on campus and the New Year's Six Bowls. Like, I think the system only worked because now all the New Year's Six Bowls are relevant. That made the bowl system happy.
Yeah, and I think it's the way that they should do the New Year's Six Bowls. Personally, Nick, I think that is the perfect way to take care of that.
Oh yeah, like the Rose Bowl tomorrow is going to be unbelievable, and the Sugar Bowl, and that's going to be the most those games have mattered since the last time they were both playoff games, which was last year. But think about how much more important the Rose Bowl felt last year. Like Alabama, Michigan would have been epic regardless, but it being the Rose Bowl last year was incredible.
Oh yeah, it was. It gave a sense of of historical moment and the stage for it. Definitely gave. Shout out Alison DeMitto, my friend, saying good night and wishing all a New Year's for us as well. And in terms of the matchup, there's gonna start in about 20-ish minutes. I think Ashton Jeanty is gonna have to step up. He is gonna have to play the game of his life. because the Penn State defense, gave a lot of trouble to SMU, and they are gonna give Ashton Jeanty a lot of trouble tonight.
I agree, but go, Nick. Go. This is your podcast.
Ultimately, it's going to come down to Michael Madsen. Can Michael Madsen make plays, or Maddox Madsen, excuse me, I forgot. The Boise State quarterback, number 4, who for some reason hasn't been Malachi Nelson, which surprised, because I was assuming Malachi Nelson was going to be the quarterback for Boise State, the former 5-star who went to USC, but they've been rolling with Madsen like the entire year, and he's played all right, but he's mostly been just doing a lot of play action off of Ashton Jeanty. Tonight, he's going to have to make some throws to win this football game. And I don't know if he's good enough to do that. Because I think Jeanty's going to get his. Because I saw him tear up Oregon. And I think Oregon's a lot better than Penn State. So I believe this is going to be a good one. I have much more faith that Boise State can hang with Penn State than I do Arizona State can hang with Texas.
Oh, no question. I think Arizona State's going to get beat by 50.
Yeah.
And is that an exaggeration? Probably, but it's going to be ugly. It's going to be as ugly as Tennessee versus Ohio State, I think. But regarding Jeanty, I think he's going to play the game of his life, just like Gus was mentioning. And Gus, I think he's going to play the game of his life because the lights are the brightest, and this is his biggest audition yet for the NFL. This is his moment to show 32 NFL GMs, hey, I can be the face of your franchise. I don't care that I'm short. I don't care that I'm small. I can play in your league, and I can make a difference for your franchise.
Yeah.
That's what tonight means for Ashton Jeanty. And I think he's gonna go, like I said, 150 all-purpose yards tonight and at least one anytime touchdown.
And maybe show 2 dynasty fantasy football owners why they should draft him.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. I hope Nick Striger's not watching the podcast.
Bruh. This man, shout out to Nick, man. He keeps the league interesting. He's been trying to buy draft picks all day, and the league literally ended. The season ended like less than 24 hours ago. This man does not stop. He goes to work, he takes care of his children, and he makes fantasy football trades, and that's all he does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shout out to Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess any of us taking Boise here? I think we're all taking Penn State, but I think the Broncos can do it. And also, don't underestimate James Franklin's ability to lose a big game.
I get that.
Oh yeah, I think definitely for James Franklin is another test of can he deliver on the big spot, because of course he was with a lot of pressure like Ryan Day had, having a home playoff game, and he took care of business. But now he's in a quarterfinal game, neutral site. How much his future is gonna. Of course, I think he's gonna. I think Penn State's gonna win, and he's gonna have 2 postseason wins. And a bowl game win. But I think if he loses, then the fan base definitely gonna go back all that feeling of of a choker.
Yeah. So someone's already lining off fireworks. It's 7:20. It isn't even midnight.
Here in Brazil, it's 9:20, and there's still no fireworks. So I guess Chattanooga's probably more excited with the New Year's than Sao Paulo.
Well, I guess people here just can't read the time. Who knows?
Now, people here are going to be trying to set off fireworks, and they're gonna be sorely disappointed unless they use some sort of dry pavement, and I don't think that's going to happen. It's still raining real hard here, so I was telling y'all I'm going to get my jumps in tonight in the parking lot.
I'm going to do mine in the middle of Police Avenue.
Right, I need to figure out a body of water to do that in. And also, Aaron is taking Boise. Well, I'm not jumping in the Tennessee River. That thing is polluted beyond belief.
You don't want to look like the fish from the SpongeBob crap. The Simpsons movie,
And I'm
the three-eyed fish.
and I'm also not doing on the Tietê River as well, one of the most polluted rivers in the world here in the city of Sao Paulo. So I guess we're gonna have to do a street jump, 7th Street jump.
Hey, the beauty of a tradition is you can bend it to the way you need to do it, as long as the sentiment is there and the memory of the 2023 into 2024 New Year's celebration is in there in here. You know, I as long as it's in here, that's what matters, right?
Of course,
Oh,
that's
yes.
what matters.
So what I'm hearing is y'all are getting pizza tonight. You're fixing it or getting it?
No, no.
Boo!
I'm
Boo
not
this
gonna
man! Boo this man in the comments! Boo!
The
Boo
problem
him!
is I should have thought about it when I was in the supermarket, because I'm not finding any pizzeria open in the city of São Paulo here right now at 9:30 on New Year's Eve. There's no way. It would be a miracle.
Well, listen, we'll just bend it to what you need. You got crackers and ketchup?
No, I got frozen lasagna and frozen burgers, so that would be my New Year's Eve kind of meal.
We'll take it. Throw some crackers on the bottom of the lasagna, and it's basically pizza.
Yeah.
Sounds fair. I'll try. But
Hey, I can't go to the beach for your tradition, so you got to do what you got to do, Gus.
that's fair. That's a good point. But in terms of the the matchup that's gonna kick in about 16 minutes, I'm taking Penn State by a field goal.
Wow. You think it's going to be a lot closer than I do, and Aaron as well.
I'll take Penn State by 10.
I think give me Penn State by probably 17. I'm going to say 17, but hear me out here. Like I said before, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think for a long time, and then I think Penn State's going to pull away and make it look a little uglier than it was. I think it's going to be within one score, and then they're going to pull away at the end, and then Boise State's going to probably turn the ball over, trying to play hero ball at the end to try to come back, and I think it gets a little ugly and out of hand.
Yeah. So it all comes down to Madsen. Can Madsen make some plays? Also, does Boise have an answer for Tyler Warren? And that's another question. I don't know if they do. Could be some points put up here. Looking ahead to tomorrow's matchups, of course, we've alluded to this. Jason and I are on Texas big here in the Peach Bowl. Is there any reason to be concerned about Texas tomorrow? Like, I just think lines of scrimmage are going to dominate Arizona State. I don't feel like Scatabo is electric, don't get me wrong, but Scatabo is going to have to do what Genty's doing tonight and then some, I feel like, for them to even have a chance.
If Texas loses, it will be Texas beating Texas. Straight up, the only way they lose is if they beat themselves.
And the happiest person in the world, if that happens, will be Big Ten commissioner. Because imagine this. Texas, first year living the Big Ten, going to the SEC, and losing in a playoff game to the Big Ten championship. That would be massive.
I was going to say if Arizona State won, Dylan Becker and family may be the happiest people on the planet. Shout out to the Beckers. Dylan's older brother, Arizona State alum.
They'll be second, because imagine the feeling of the Big Ten, commissioner being like, "You left us, we beat you."
But hey, if this happened though, we would have to have a conversation about Steve Sarkisian afterwards. If Texas finds a way to lose this game, because last year getting eliminated by Washington, and Washington obviously had some really good players on there, but Texas had a better roster. Texas has an even better roster over Arizona State in this game. There's no excuse.
Yeah, if it happens, Steve Sarkisian's ass needs to be on fire. But I don't think it's going to happen. Give me the Horns by 50.
Yeah.
Horns by 17.
Yeah, Horns by at least 4 touchdowns. Now, let's get to the big ones right here. The big ones. The Rose Bowl. And They were showing it on the TV. I was kind of sad because I was thinking about how Tennessee could have been there, but it wasn't like we were really close in the game at Ohio State. But that Buckeyes team we saw in person going to take on Oregon in a rematch. Oregon beat them the first time around 32-31 in Autzen, what was probably one of the games of the year, if not the game of the year. Man, I think to me, whoever wins this game is a prohibitive favorite to win it all. I just, to me, these are the two most complete teams left.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be, some even say, and it's fair to say, the national championship before the national championship. Some might say that the two best teams in college football this season, and they're meeting for the third time this season, which is crazy. Like, how much of a and by the way, it'll be the Big 12 commissioner, not the Big 10. I said the Big 10, Big 12 commissioner will be happy if the Arizona State beat Texas. But
we put the context clues together, Gus. It's all good.
Yeah, but in terms of this Big 10 matchup, I think it's going to be the best of all those four games. But I think it's really hard for a team as good as Ohio State to lose a third straight time to the same opponent. I think it's really hard. I think Ohio State, is with some poise, the way you guys saw, destroying Tennessee, and Dan Lanning, like James Franklin, like Steve Sarkisian, also has that kind of concern. Can he deliver on the big spot?
I don't think that's fair for Dan Lanning. He's only been at Oregon for 3 years, I believe, because he was the defensive coordinator for Kirby Smart at Georgia not too long ago, and he, I believe, he's only been there since 2021. I don't think there's any pressure on him yet. This is their first real team of, okay, they're here. Now what can they do? Now, if it continues, if they lose tomorrow and then it continues to be a recurring theme for a few years, then I think, maybe we can have a conversation. But I think that's entirely unfair on Dan Lanning to say that early, don't you think?
I guess it's a good point. I mean, it's just because last year they kind of were on the verge to make the playoff and failed against Washington. But I of course I don't think I say the pressure is not the same as James Franklin and Steve Sarkisian, but I think the skepticism's a little bit there. But definitely, I think it's going to be a nail biter. I think it's going to be go until the last second.
Yeah, I'll say this on the discussion about Dan Lanning. To me, like, it'd be interesting to say that Lanning has the most pressure here when we're talking about Ryan Day still on the other side. And obviously, I know Ohio State, they got a big one against Tennessee. I still think there's an immense, way more pressure on Ryan Day still heading into this match. Because, for the discussion heading into these playoffs were, all right, how deep does Day need to get in these playoffs to get people off of his back? And blowing out Tennessee is one thing, and I hate to be talking down about Tennessee like that, but let's move on. Beating Tennessee is one thing at home with your home crowd. Now you're going to go play the number one team in Oregon, who already handed you an L this year, came into your conference this year and won the entire thing. It'd be a hard pill to swallow for Ryan Day if he wins this one, or if he were to lose this one.
Yeah, I think people are going to riot in Columbus if Ohio State puts up a poor performance tomorrow against Oregon. Truly. Now, if they lose because, whatever, Oregon just outplayed them, he's still going to have a little bit of pressure. But I think they have a smart enough fan base, at least at least smart enough that I think that they can recognize that it wasn't them beating themselves and they just got beat by a better team. But I think it's, if they lose tomorrow and they don't look good, you may be seeing Ryan Day get fired, which I think would be ridiculous, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, those folks are just so angry. Even when they were up by like multiple touchdowns, they were just so angry. At least the people I was around were super angry. I'm just like, guys, like, chill. I mean, we all love college football, but y'all like need to chill, man.
But they're upholding a standard. And what's the most wild thing that somebody at Ohio State told me was their primary objective every season is beat Michigan, and winning a championship is only icing on the cake. And I'm thinking, what? And I said that to him, and I was just stupefied by this. And I'll relate it this way. If Tennessee lost to Florida, or even better, if Louisville lost to Kentucky, but won the championship, they couldn't tell me shit. They wouldn't be able to tell me shit all offseason. Where's your trophy? Oh, you beat us? Don't care. Where's your trophy? Don't care. And these Ohio State people hate Michigan that much that one game, even if Ryan Day wins a championship, that one game means that his seat is hot. And that's crazy to me. I can't relate.
Like they really need to get a grip when it comes to the Michigan thing. I get that that's such an important game, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be important. That is one of the great college football rivalries. That might be the greatest college football rivalry. But you can't let your entire season be defined by that game. That's why you keep on losing. That's such an important game, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be important. That is one of the. Absolutely, I was hearing myself again. But you shouldn't let that control. Like, I think it was Colin Cowherd, or no, it was Nick Saban that was saying this on the Colin Cowherd show, where basically he was saying that Ohio State fans effectively need therapy when it comes to Michigan.
It's ludicrous to think that it's. I know it's an intense rivalry and one of the biggest rivalries in American sports, but isn't your goal, like, Michigan fans can't be happier than Ohio State fans if somehow Ohio State loses in the semis and Michigan won the ReliaQuest Bowl just because of the rivalry game in the regular season.
Yeah, like, hold on, I'm going to show this. This was Saban on the Pat McAfee show. So this is what he had to say on Ohio State fans.
These Ohio State fans, they got a psychotic obsession with Michigan, and they need to go get therapy or something to try to get it fixed, because they have a championship, and here you are, nobody's excited about their opportunity to play because they, lost to Michigan, which was a tough game, and they lost. These Ohio State fans.
Yeah, so
he's right. He's right.
Totally, 100%.
And I saw one Ohio State fan was tweeting earlier about Michigan being more excited for the Rose Bowl tomorrow than their own game. And I'm just like, you're the one tweeting about Michigan. Still, like, focus on Oregon.
I believe that Michigan probably is, but they're not talking about it till tomorrow.
Yeah, because Michigan focused on winning today. And that's the difference between Ohio State and Michigan. Like, Ohio State talks so big. They have 2 championships in the last 50 years. They want to act like they're Alabama. You get the same amount of titles as Georgia.
And the crazy part is one of them is a Mickey Mouse championship because they should have never been in to begin with.
Yeah, 2002 with the Purdue thing.
Oh, not even that. I was going to say 2014 because TCU won by 52 and dropped out of the playoff for Ohio State. And the committee got away with it because they won.
Right.
So do they have 2 Mickey Mouse championships?
Yeah, 0 real championships in the last 50 years.
I hate when people do that, like, honestly, but at the same time, the 2014 thing is a legitimate gripe, and I think the committee is never going to outlive that as long as I am here to complain about it. Because the committee keeps moving the goalposts, and they continue to move the goalposts. But they said conference championships are rewarded. And they said, oh, well, there's no conference championship games, so TCU winning their conference outright doesn't matter. And then they won by 52 on conference championship week against whoever they were playing to confirm that they were the conference champion. And the committee dropped them 3 spots out and put Ohio State in that last spot. And then you continue to say, oh, well, conference championships matter, and then Florida State gets left out. Quit moving the goalposts. If you want the best 4 teams, just say that. Say scheduling doesn't matter. But at that point, if you want the best 12 teams, IU should have never been in. Like, SMU probably should have never been in. If you want the best 12 teams, I can think of some better teams than that.
But was Alabama and South Carolina really better, though, given what they did today?
I mean, you could say the same thing about what happened with Florida State getting their ass beat by Georgia last year in the Orange Bowl. They lost by like 60.
Mm-hmm. And Alabama and South Carolina definitely did not lose by 60.
I mean, well, the Oklahoma State, Alabama in 2011, we can all find examples that a flawed system throughout this new BCS college football playoff era. We can all find examples. But at the end of the day, Ohio State has those championships and Michigan has only one. But I think in tomorrow's matchup, it doesn't matter. I think for tomorrow, it's all about, can Ohio State perform the same level they did in the first round? And I think they can.
I think they can as well. They have the best roster in college football, I think. And this is the comparison that I made when Nick and I were coming back from Columbus, Gus. We, as Tennessee fans, still speak longingly about Jalen Hyatt and how great he was. And if only we had a Jalen Hyatt, this offense would be electric. And we still speak so fondly of him, and he's been gone for 2 seasons, playing in the NFL. Ohio State trotted out 4 Jalen Hyatts to play against Tennessee the other night. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the levels that Ohio State has above everybody else in terms of just talent on their roster. And I think Oregon probably is the only team, or maybe Texas as well, that can come close to that level of stacked talent. Now, Georgia used to be able to do that. Yeah. Georgia used to do that. But as you're starting to see with the portal and NIL, you're not able to hoard players quite like that anymore. And Georgia hoarded players when they won their back-to-back championships. And they're starting to feel the downturn of that, which I think will happen to Ohio State in a couple of years. But right now, they're like, you could compare them overall talent-wise to a team like 2019 LSU, where you think, okay, that guy's going to the league, that guy's going to the league, that guy's going to the league. Now, I think 2019 LSU had the players, in more impactful positions because Ohio State doesn't have a quarterback. Sorry, so let's be fair to Joe Burrow and the
Will Howard diced our ass up. I mean, to be fair,
right. But I think that's more to do with Tennessee than it is to do with Will Howard. He's no Joe Burrow. And so with that being said, I think in sheer numbers of that guy's going to the league, that guy's going to the league, in terms of that, I think you can, when we look back on this era of Ohio State, I think you're going to be seeing, oh, they have 30 or 40 guys that ended up, from this team on the league. That's 1 out of every 3 or 4 guys on the roster. Going to the league, that's an enormous amount of players.
Yeah, so
that's all
the Fiesta Bowl has kicked off. Boise State has the ball first in in that match. But back to Ohio State. Yeah, I mean, just seeing that was one of the 4 or 5 most talented teams I've ever seen in person. Up there with like 2017 Georgia, 2017 Alabama, 2018 Alabama, 2021 Georgia. That team was in that conversation, and all those teams either won a national championship or made the national championship. That team had that look to it.
Yeah, and they're just loaded with talent. And I fully expect them to show that they are loaded with talent. I think the weakest link of that team is Ryan Day. But to his credit, he did something different against Tennessee that we hadn't seen all season, and it worked. And so if they keep rolling with that, Ohio State's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think that latest Michigan loss, I think that lit a fire under Ryan Day because I think he knew he was going to get fired otherwise.
Well, hopefully Dan Lanning knows how to stop a running back will route. And Dan Lanning is a much better defensive mind than Tim Banks. And
look, I like Tim Banks, but Tim Banks is like a toxic ex-girlfriend that you keep around because the sex is good. Every once in a while, it's so much fun. Every once in a while, he puts up this incredible performance, and then the next 2 or 3 weeks, it's just bogus, and Tennessee defense looks like crap.
I have decided what I want the transition plan to look like. All right, hear me out. So we give Tim Banks 1 more year. He takes a head coaching job somewhere, and then Brent Venables gets fired at Oklahoma after another bad year next year.
I'll take it.
Venables comes to Knoxville as the DC and reunites with his best bud and Josh Heupel.
I thought you were gonna go and say that you wanted to go get Gerard Mayo when he got fired by the Patriots. I would take that too, but
I wasn't even thinking about that. But I mean, I guess that would be another option. But I would take either one of those options. How do
you feel about Mike Vrabel going to Ohio State if Ryan Day gets fired?
It'd be in this new era of college football, that would be a fantastic hire for Ohio State. So,
I agree.
Yeah, because he should have never been fired from Nashville, but it's definitely the best for him that he got.
No, I'd take him. I'd fire Shane Steichen yesterday to take him.
Yeah, the Indianapolis show. I'm going to talk about them in a bit because.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
maybe it's time for me to dip out. I don't want to have this conversation.
Right. Well, I have to talk about the Titans. I have to talk about the Titans every week. So,
yeah, but it's your podcast. I'm just crashing it, right?
Right.
Oh yeah.
All right. But what I'll say about Oregon though is they do have the roster to match with Ohio State, and like we talked about Will Howard. Dylan Gabriel, too. I mean, this is such a legacy game for him. Because if Dylan Gabriel doesn't show up here, then what will he have really accomplished in college football?
He was kind of like Bo Nix, he transfers quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be a pretty interesting comparison. Yeah, Gabriel to Nix.
Yeah, but Dylan Gabriel's transferred twice, though. Bo Nix only transferred once, and to his credit, he got out of Auburn and he made it work. Now that he's in the league, he looks so smooth compared to when he first started at Auburn. It's unreal, and I think Dylan Gabriel as a redshirt senior, I think this is his opportunity to say, okay, I belong in the NFL. I belong on somebody's roster. And
I know. I guess I know why you're laughing, Nick. You saw that Boise State field goal?
Oh my God! Tell me you saw this, Jason.
I'm not watching. What did I miss?
Oh my gosh! You're in a dome. You're in a dome. How do you miss that? Well, how do you miss that, and how do you shank it that bad?
That was terrible.
The lights are too bright is the answer to that question. I'm sure I can open Twitter and within 5 seconds see this play once it gets on there. So
I'm gonna see if I can pull up a highlight of that because oh my goodness, that was bad. That was one of the worst kicks I have ever seen. Okay, I've got it. I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
All right, I got to break this one down.
I'm afraid to show because I'll get in trouble, like in terms of. But I guess hopefully I won't.
All right, I'll just keep the audio off.
But we'll be real quick.
Hold on, go back. I need to see this paused. Go run it. See if you can run it at like that. Oh yeah, his plant foot's all messed up. He's swinging too hard. So,
can I remove?
Yep, that is my analysis. He's swinging too hard. I'd love to hear what Aaron has to say in the comments. Everybody knows he and I love our special teams. That was terrible. The lights are too bright. And then also Vol Twitter. I know we're going to get to Vol Twitter, but there's another thing for Vol Twitter that I need to bring up when the time comes. This is getting a little ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, let's finish playoffs first. So, Ohio State, Oregon. Who are we picking in the Rose Bowl?
Ohio State by a field goal.
Give me Ohio State by a touchdown.
I would pick Ohio State, but you know what? Give me Oregon by a field goal.
All right.
Because I do feel like Oregon's being a little bit disrespected heading into this.
Yeah. And Aaron in the comments, Oregon over Ohio State by 4.
And yes, Georgia over Notre Dame by 14. Which, by the way, that's the last one, the Sugar Bowl tomorrow night in New Orleans. Notre Dame versus Georgia, and the debut of Gunnar Stockton as Carson Beck is done. His Georgia career is over. He's going to the NFL post-injury, which is going to be interesting for him.
Reminiscent of a certain quarterback that we all are pretty fond of.
Yeah. So Notre Dame, Georgia. What do we think of this? Because this is the line here is like Georgia -1. The odds maker think this is going to be really, really close.
I feel like I gotta go and bet money on this game, and I don't even like betting money. I feel like I need to go and bet Georgia -1 and hammer that. I think Georgia wins by multiple touchdowns. I'm that confident, even with Gunnar Stockton. I think they may be better with Gunnar Stockton.
Like, I agree. I don't think Georgia's offense will miss a beat in this game at all. And Georgia -1, basically what they're thinking is this is going to be a low-scoring slugfest, and that Gunnar Stockton isn't going to be able to do anything on offense. There's no way they think Riley Leonard is engineering a lot of offense on Georgia. I mean, I get that they just saw Haynes King and Georgia Tech run up and down the field on Georgia. That's not going to happen again. Georgia was sleepwalking through that game before the SEC championship. And Haynes King is a better player than Riley Leonard is. Yeah, I think Haynes King is better than
Gus, mute his mic. We're going back. We're going back to the radio days. Put him off.
Okay, what would Riley Leonard's record be on Georgia Tech versus Haynes King on Notre Dame? I don't think Haynes King would have lost to Northern Illinois.
It doesn't matter. We're not talking about the team that was in the second week of the season. We're talking about the team right now on New Year's. Come on now. Use your head. Come on.
Right. I still don't think Notre Dame is that good.
They're not, but Riley Leonard is a dude. Riley Leonard is going to play in the NFL. Like, put some respect on that man.
I mean,
you can clown him all you want, but he's good. Like Notre Dame, I will clown Notre Dame. I will clown Notre Dame all day, every day. But Riley Leonard is a dude.
Like, what's the over-under on Riley Leonard's passing yards for tomorrow? Let's see. Because whatever it is, I will take the under.
But let's not act like he's a complete bum. He is not a bona fide scrub. That's ridiculous. Come on.
Yeah, but to me, what good teams did he look like good again, right? Like, and I understand he was good at Duke, and he elevated them. I don't know. I just don't trust him here in this
Do
spot.
you not
against
trust
Georgia.
him, or do you not trust Marcus Freeman?
But I don't trust either one of them. I really don't trust Marcus Freeman.
Okay, there it is. You really don't trust Marcus Freeman. Neither do I. But let's not pretend like Riley Leonard sucks. Get that out of here.
Well, he has a chance to win me over tomorrow, to say the least.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is, Nick.
I'll find it over under. I need to let's see here because I can't find it. But let's see, market trends. Hold on, I'm not seeing an over and under on his passing yards for tomorrow. Let's see. Okay, 173.5.
I think the under is fair. That's a good number. But that 173.5, even if he throws for 173, he's not a bum.
Aaron says,
put your money where your mouth is, Nick.
Yeah, now here's the thing. I would love for him to line up Georgia. I want him to line up Georgia.
But by the way, Aaron, and to all people watching, I appreciate it. New Year's Eve, and people watching, it really appreciate, by the way. But I think this definitely is a mismatch in terms of a coaching matchup.
Of course
I think Kirby Smart definitely has a better grip. And by the way, Penn State touchdown. There, Kylan Warren, 11-yard receiving. And I guess now Boise State is going to have a lot of trouble. But in terms of tomorrow's matchup, I think Georgia, even though they're with the backup quarterback, but we've seen better quarterback rise in this kind of matchup. The last, infamous one, Tua Tagovailoa getting a halftime against the same Georgia. But Kirby's might going to have to even step up even further to kind of even out losing his starting quarterback.
Yeah, I just don't think Notre Dame's going to have a lot of offense tomorrow. I think this will be like a 24-6 type game. Ugly. Aaron says he's going to draft Riley Leonard in the top 5 next year on his fantasy team. Spoiler alert, I am not drafting Riley Leonard with the number 2 pick.
We knew this already. You said he was a bona fide scrub, in other words.
Yes. God, he's going to be a Hall of Famer now, isn't he?
Probably. This is coming. See, this take right here is coming from the same guy who said Harrison Bailey deserved to start over Hendon Hooker in 2022 for the Vols.
Hey, Harrison Bailey did play well
2021, today. I guess.
So he did play well today, but
he did. But I'm never letting you live that down.
Yeah, that is true.
This take is coming from this man who said that Harrison Bailey should be starting over Hendon Hooker at Tennessee.
I'm not a good quarterback evaluator. I will give you that much.
All right, so take your Riley Leonard take, throw it out the window.
Yeah, but I'm taking Georgia.
Georgia, give me Georgia by multiple touchdowns.
So that's we'll see how these quarterfinals go. Penn State up 7-0 in the Fiesta Bowl. All right, some of the other quick other bowl games, because I think the storyline right now is the SEC suffering some losses, suffering some really puzzling losses. Oklahoma losing to Navy in the Military Bowl. Today we saw Alabama lose to Michigan, an underhanded Michigan team, and they still had Jalen Milroe at quarterback. And South Carolina lost to Illinois. And to me, I don't know how much stock you really take in bowl results anymore, but to me, I don't think this is a good look for the SEC.
I think it's more that these teams have a lot of opt-outs and that they don't care more than that they're not better. But not to take anything away from the schools that won, but I do think that there's a little bit of lackadaisical preparation and stuff for these bowl games that don't matter. And then obviously you're missing some top-end talent where you're not going to be missing that top-end talent if you're Navy. You're not going to be missing that top-end talent usually if you're Illinois. Because those guys, they don't usually have those super top-end guys that would be opting out to go to the league.
I go even further of Jason's point. I think analyzing, in this new college football world, bowl performance by conferences is way different than 15, 20 years ago. Because as Jason pointed out, opt-outs, transfer portal makes
the big ones.
Your starting roster on your last week of regular season college football way different than your bowl game. Of course, teams are not gonna opt out, but I mean, we saw now the first one that did, Marshall literally opt out of the game, and they had to find Louisiana Tech to play in a bowl game with a below 500 record. But of course, the Blue Bloods are not gonna say they're not gonna play a bowl game with a winning record or even a 6-6. Because it would be kind of a little bit of a shame. It would be kind of even financially risky. But definitely, you can take bowl performance by conference in this new world of college football with opt-outs and transfer portal.
You remember what I just said about Nick's quarterback takes? Do the same thing with your bowl results by conference.
Yeah, apparently I'm leaving 2024 with some bad takes, but
well, you started 2024 with some bad takes too, but we got those fixed for you, didn't we?
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. I do want to bring up at least one of the funnier moments from these bowl games. And that was Shane Beamer just losing his mind against Illinois.
I still haven't seen this. I need to get on Twitter.
Yeah, so basically Shane Beamer and Brett Bielema during I
think the game was stopped because of an Illinois injury player.
Yes. So basically, and I kind of have to explain it a little bit. So basically, what happened is Illinois. Basically, there was an injured Illinois player, and I have that clip. There's an.
What a bum! This dude is a bum.
The helmet ain't hard enough when you got
don't put sound
legs with momentum hitting you. So
so you can see it. They're bringing up the Illinois player, and then Shane Beamer loses his freaking mind.
Where's the WWE announcer clips when you need them? That would be a perfect. That'd be Hey, is that me right there?
God, Shane Beamer is just such a clown. Like,
I think he's letting his character bigger than his coaching. I mean, you want to be kind of like a outspoken, even a little bit swagger kind of coach. Go ahead, but you can't take the character beyond your coaching.
And see, I agree with you 100%, Gus. And the perfect example of that, Tony Vitello. Tony Vitello used to act a fool, and that's why the 2022 team didn't win the College World Series. The Tennessee baseball team in 2022 was better than the one that won in 2024 by a lot. But they didn't win because of that exactly. And I think that's the closest parallel that you're going to get to somebody like this. I don't think Shane Beamer is that good of a coach, but I digress. That acting a fool like that's not going to get you anywhere. It's going to get you clowned online, and these recruits are going to be seeing you online thinking, do I want to play for that guy? Probably not.
Yeah, so this is what Beamer said in the press conference. He said, quote, "I've got a lot of respect for him, but I've never seen that happen. An opposing coach come over while his player is hurt. I thought that was Bush League." End quote.
What? I have so many questions that I don't even want answers to. Because I feel like everything that's coming out of his mouth is bullshit. Because you have. I promise you, if you have coached one season at any level, you have seen a coach go out and see an injured player. Period. End of story. End of discussion. That's it. That's not Bush League. Come on.
Yeah. And then, like, Shane Beamer, after the South Carolina took a lead to take the lead back, he was just like. And then, of course, they go on to lose to Illinois. So, whatever. Shane Beamer, still the highlight of his career is 2 weeks in 2022. And almost making the playoffs this year. Almost.
I think the highlight of the highlight is Connor Stallions giving him playbooks.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
and
honestly.
Landon and Lenore Sellers miraculously turning out to be a good quarterback, kind of. So, whatever. I'm sure he'll be running around the hall talking about.
It's funny. It's funny how last year's Citrus Bowl that we celebrated Tennessee winning was so uneventful, and this year's Citrus Bowl was way more eventful.
Yeah, this year's Citrus Bowl was lit, but the reason why that was uneventful is because Tennessee just went in and took care of business.
Yeah,
against Iowa, because Tennessee was a way better team. Missouri almost lost to Iowa, by the way. Missouri did win. And, did you see Elia Drinkwitz is running around bragging about winning the Music City Bowl and having a 10-win team? Because he literally responded to an Arkansas fan saying, I can't hear you. We won 10 games.
He is such a dork.
Yeah, like, seriously, like, I'm going to pull up the tweet real quick. Like, this is just so dumb. Like, he's still probably bragging about standing on business against Tennessee last year.
Congrats, 1-3 against Tennessee. Congrats.
Yeah, like, really, from @Hog Ballburner, Mizzou is going to go down as the worst 10-team win in history. And Elijah Jenkins responded, quote, just make sure you add @Music City Bowl Champions to it with multiple emojis. #MIZ. It's just poverty. It's a poverty program. Missouri does not belong. Actually, I was getting into an argument with a guy on TikTok about this the other day, about Missouri. And he tried to claim that, Missouri's fan base is better than Tennessee's fan base. And I'm just like, y'all don't belong in the SEC.
They have a fan base?
I have been a couple of Missouri fans, and they're all pricks because they try to act big because they have to because they're Missouri. He's like, we made the SEC championship game twice. I'm like, okay.
Congrats, I guess. I have met one Missouri fan in my life, okay? And he's a Missouri fan because he played baseball at Missouri. Anybody want to take a stab? Yes. Tony Vitello.
And it's crazy how Missouri blew the best chance of them making it the national championship back in 2007 as well.
Yep, losing to Oklahoma, and they've done nothing since. Except, hey, they beat Tennessee last year, got to stand on business. And also, they beat a handicapped Ohio State team, too, in the Cotton Bowl as well.
Your Columbia is not even the best Columbia in the SEC, which is really saying something considering how crappy the other one is. South Carolina
sucks. But
that's my point exactly. Yours isn't even the best one in the conference, and that's really saying something.
God, that game was so boring last year. Gus and I fell asleep watching it. The Missouri-Ohio State game.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That game was so, like we tried to stay awake, but we couldn't. If somebody had a sleeping problem, you just put this game.
Right.
Hey, I need to put that on repeat every night while I'm trying to sleep, honestly.
Right. Also, the third coach I wanted to bring up real quick, Kalen DeBoer. Should he be on the hot seat after this year? No. To me, I don't think he should. I think it'd be too much of an overreaction. Give him a second year. Let him get his guys in there. But there's going to be some Bama fans who are going to be very unhappy with this. Yeah, most of them, I would say, are pretty unhappy with this year. And definitely unhappy with the way it ended.
Let me ask Bama fans. Did everybody even remember Nick Saban's first year at Alabama? No, because he then stepped out and showed that he can coach and went on to have a, historical run at the Crimson Tide. I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer is Nick Saban, and of course, it's really hard to be the coach after the GOAT. Just ask David Moyes when he took over Man United, after Alex
Yeah, what's
Ferguson.
he up to nowadays, Gus? Do you know?
But
What's David Moyes up to nowadays? Do you have any idea?
that's a great question. I should research it. Or even, for example, now Jared Mayo after Bill Belichick, it's really hard. But, if you
He
think
was
about
most
it.
recently the manager at West Ham, and that was that.
That's true. He won the conference
The Conference League champion, at West Ham. I forgot that he stayed at West Ham for so long. He carved out a decent career for himself, but it was just miserable at Manchester United.
Who isn't? Who isn't? Oh my God, tell you about it. But I think Kellenberg had C plus B minus season. Of course, Bama, was kind of with a yard, inch short of the playoff. Was a nail biter. Of course, then SMU got in. I think that's what Of course, that Oklahoma loss, that was the big stink. Losing to Georgia and Tennessee, Georgia and definitely Tennessee on the road, it's okay. But that Oklahoma loss, that was the loss that Bama fans definitely got upset about. Not making the playoffs, definitely it hurts. But, Nick Saban also, there were plenty of years he didn't make it. And losing a bowl game, of course, nobody cared. Probably a lot of people didn't even watch, the game, But I think this year, too, definitely at least a 10-win season and even in a playoff spot. That should be the goal for calendar board, or the bare minimum.
Yeah, because if they don't make the playoffs again,
Whoa!
It would be a disaster.
What a catch!
I need to get this game on behind me.
I
don't have it on, and I need to.
Omari Evans, 30-yard receiving touchdown. Oh my God!
So what's the
you're
score?
Definitely ahead of me, I guess.
I guess because I'm not watching on streaming. I'm watching the actual TV. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
so what's the score?
It's 13-0 now, Penn State.
Okay.
Should we have expanded the playoff?
Again, format problem. Boise State should have been playing
How
IU.
about those auto bids that we discussed earlier?
Oh man, this is a bad look, man.
The auto buys are the problem.
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom. Happy New Year to her as well. Jeanette Tomazeli, thanks for watching as well. And we're just saying, Nick, and Jason, how last year was fun down in Florida. So
thank you. Thank you, Gus's mom, for having me. Thank you. You're the best.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Real quick, I want to give you a moment, Jason, to talk about your Cardinals holding on for dear life at the end due to some refereeing issues.
Issues, that's a way to put it. So the TLDR here is it was a game of a lot of opt-outs, a lot of big plays. Louisville pulled away at the end. Louisville ended up by, I believe they were up 35-21. And it was at that point Jeff Brom put the ball into Harrison Bailey's hands to try to ice the game. And if you want to talk about a bona fide scrub, Nick, Riley Leonard ain't it. It's Harrison Bailey. And this dude, he made all kinds of bad reads, let Washington get back in the game by having 3 straight drives stall out. And I just was astonished when Louisville got a 4th down stop, which should have ended the game. And then this bogus pass interference call. It's one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I feel like Trump right now. It was the worst call I've ever seen. Honestly, felt like that. And so that gave Washington 4 free downs and goal to go. All right. So it's a minute left or so. Now it's 1st and goal from the 2 because of this bogus pass interference call. And Louisville got stops and then forced a fumble, which should have been a touchback. And they didn't call it. They let him keep playing, and then they score a touchdown. We stop the 2-point conversion with like 8 seconds left, and our guys go and celebrate because they just had 2 goal line stands essentially, and they call another penalty on Louisville, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for the celebration, and they gave a penalty that if this onside kick would have been recovered by Washington, they're in field goal range down by 1. Over and over and over. It was terrible. These referees are awful. And I made the comment that if Louisville loses this game, it's worse than the 2021 Music City Bowl. And I stand on that. That would have been way worse from the refs than the abysmal Music City Bowl ending. And that was awful. And you guys know how I feel about that. So anyway, I don't give a damn about the whole state of Washington. All of them can go to hell except Dubs. We love you, Dubs.
Absolutely. So shout out to Louisville for winning that game. Didn't really get to see much of it, to be honest. Just saw the ending. And yeah, the referee was atrocious, but hey, Louisville got the dub. And hate to hear that Harrison Bailey didn't really develop that well otherwise, but hey.
He had a pretty decent game, all things said, but when the game was put into his hands, he just completely mismanaged it. So I wish I were surprised.
Yeah. All right, another quarterback though that has definitely a much more. Oh boy, did Ashton Genty just fumble? I think he may have.
No, I think he stepped out of bounds.
Let's see. I haven't seen a replay of this.
I just saw the replay. I think when he got the ball, he stepped out of bounds before he.
Oh no, he's in. He's in. Well, the fumble happened inbounds. Did they get a clear recovery? No, it's gonna be Boise State's ball. Still, man, that would have basically ended the game already.
Yeah.
Speaking of clear recoveries, really quick, anytime I see a fumble and the offensive team or the receiving team, if it's an onside, anytime I see a loose football, just bat it out of bounds. If you fumbled or you are the receiving team on an onside kick, bat the thing out of bounds. For the love of God, bat it out of bounds. It will be your football.
Yeah.
Think with your heads. Play smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Now, one other quarterback I do want to bring up real quick, Cam Ward, who played the first half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl and then didn't come out and play the second half. A lot of people really up in arms over this situation as Miami ended up losing to Iowa State 42-41. What do you think that Miami and Mario Cristobal should have let Cam Ward sit at halftime of that game?
No. If you want to play, you play the whole game. If you want to opt out, opt out. Opting out's bad enough, but I understand. This was just selfish. This is like Antonio Brown taking off his pads at halftime and just walking out of the Jets end zone. Like, honestly, that's what that reminded me of. And I'm surprised I haven't seen an AB tweet about it yet.
Oh, wow.
Well, Boise State gets the ball back.
Boise State is in the game.
Drew Allar. See, Drew Allar also sucks. All right, that's another quarterback take. So you can add him to the Riley Leonard pile.
Look, I think Riley Leonard's better than him, but I think he's going to go to the league also. So
okay, maybe. Okay, I'll admit that Dylan Gabriel is good. Maybe it's just anti-SEC bias for me. I don't know.
Dylan Gabriel. Why is Dylan Gabriel catching strays now? You mean Drew Aller?
Yeah, Drew. No, I said Dylan Gabriel's good. I'm trying to think. Okay, non-SEC quarterbacks.
Okay, I got you. I misunderstood again. Okay.
Because maybe subconsciously, I think most quarterbacks outside the SEC suck. But I don't know. But that's just that SEC bias that I have. Yeah, but on Ward, he should have just sat out. Like, I mean, clearly to me, he just played to get a record, to get that personal record, and once you are in the heat of battle, you should stay in there. So,
look, Lamar Jackson, when he was the best quarterback in the country and should have won his second straight Heisman, and no, I'm still not happy about that. He should have won over Baker Mayfield in 2016, 2017. or no, sorry, 2017, 2018. This dude played our bowl game. It was the Citrus Bowl against LSU. It was the one where Darius Geis killed our kicker. And Lamar Jackson played that game and balled out. And I respect the hell out of that. Jair Alexander opted out, which I respect also. But Lamar played. If Lamar Jackson, the most electric player in college football that year, going to be a first-round draft pick, can play in your bowl game, so can you for the whole time, Cam Ward. That was selfish. And it looks really bad on him going into the draft season also. That's going to be a question that a lot of teams have about him, especially considering that Anthony Richardson's doing stuff like that too, and that how big of a problem that's been for the Colts.
Right. And Cam, I just don't like the way he plays. Like, he plays so loose with the football. I think he is going to have a Levis-style turnover problem in the league.
You know who he reminds me of with how reckless he is with the ball? Robert Griffin III. He's reckless with the ball like RG3. But enough about him. He is a guy that's going to make the league, and he's going to be out of the league. I don't think he's going to make it in the league. I really don't. I think Cam Ward is fool's gold.
Absolutely. Like, if any quarterback's going to hit this year, it's Shedeur. But I know you have your problems with Shedeur.
That's some coping, because you're going to have him, and he's going to be a bust.
Yeah. Anyway,
you hope I'm wrong about my quarterback take. You really do.
You are so right. You're usually right about quarterback takes. So I'm embracing. Let this be. I tweeted this out the other day. Let this be my endorsement for Travis Hunter at pick 2. Please.
If the Patriots get the number 1 pick, Travis Hunter goes number 1.
Yeah. So. And then at that point, I'd rather just trade back. But
take Chris Ballard. He'll do that for you.
I mean, he'd be an improvement over what we've had at GM. Now, granted, I know
that's not saying much.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's get to what we've been alluding to. The Vol fan base. Our message to Vol fans. I certainly felt like I preached a little bit to Vol fans last week, but we have to have a come to Jesus meeting right now. You people have lost your minds over this transfer portal in college situation, right? Like, we're making up rumors every 12 hours about, Nico's going to Miami, or, obviously the Mike Matthews situation. And we're like, the Vol collective is stealing money from us. So we're going to cancel our memberships. And we're going to just have a civil war on Twitter. The way fans are acting right now, it's like we didn't just make the playoffs. Like what's going on, Jason? I don't understand this.
So I was alluding to this. There's another new rumor that has been going around. It's the Nico post where he put the emoji on his picture. It's literally because Zachariah Branch tweeted that emoji also. That's literally all it is. Y'all got to stop. But Vol Twitter especially, but to the greater Tennessee fan base, near and far, online, offline, Twitter, wherever else. Y'all got to chill. Come on. Be for real. Y'all are crazy in all the worst ways. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all gotta
it's like that loss to Ohio State. Like that loss last week broke some of these people.
Sorry to anybody using headphones right now. Apologies.
Literally, Jason and I went to that game, all right? And you don't see us running around making insane accusations online, rage posting, crashing out, because, we recognize that, okay, that game sucked, but we were just outclassed. Like, it happens sometimes in sports. You just get outclassed. There's no reason, though, to, act like the sky is falling. There's people
It's not falling. The reason we lost is because we don't have as much money as you idiots think we have. We have good money. Other schools have stupid money. You people don't understand this. It's not hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think
y'all are dumb. And
like we have
for every stupid rumor. Why? Nico's dad is on Twitter. Nico's dad is on Twitter saying, y'all gotta effing relax. And I agree.
Yeah. Like, it's insane. Like, you people, like, y'all gotta stop listening to, like, Tony Basilio. Like, this dude's out here just trying to, like, stir y'all up to listen to his broadcast. He's trying to get views. He's playing with your emotion. Y'all gotta stop, like, subscribing to, like, VolQuest and believing every single little rumor that gets posted on there by a messenger. But, I mean, would you go to volnation.com and just automatically believe everything that you read there? No. So why are you treating VolQuest the same way?
Listen, Tennessee fans, this is an intervention, okay? 2022, and I've been saying this since 2022, 2022 is what this team can be. But we were ahead of schedule because of some special players. We don't have a Jalen Hyatt. We don't have a Hendon Hooker. But Ohio State trotted out there with 4 Jalen Hyatts against us. And you know what? That's the difference. Tennessee doesn't have that deep of team. Tennessee is good, but not great. We are not on that elite level yet. And that's okay. The sky is not falling. You people got to remember where we were at this time 5 years ago, okay? 5 years ago, the McBenjamin scandal has me questioning. I'm literally walking through campus, right? And Nick, you know where I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge over top of Phil Fulmer Boulevard, right by Neyland Stadium. I'm standing on that bridge, and I take a picture of a rainbow, and I tweet out, I wonder if we can pay a buyout with a pot of gold. Okay? That's where we were at this time 5 years ago. We just made the playoff!
Yeah.
Are you stupid?
And
oh my God!
And we've beaten
Y'all
both
gotta stop!
And we've beaten both Alabama and Florida 2 out of the last 3 times. Think about that. Before 2 years ago, we had beaten Bama and Florida combined 3 times the previous 20 years. We've beaten them combined 4 times the last 3.
But Josh Heupel can't coach because the offense isn't electric like it was in 2022. There are a lot of factors behind that. Like, we don't have a Jalen Hyatt. We don't have a Hendon Hooker. We don't have an Alex Golish.
We had a freshman quarterback.
We had better personnel. It's not that the program has regressed.
I mean, like, literally, like, when he got hired, I said it would take 5 years for him to be truly competitive. And he's done so much more in his 4 years than I ever could have imagined. We have won 30 games in the last 3 years. And yet we want this assistant to get fired, that assistant to get fired. They want to throw Kelsey Pope off a bridge because we've lost our entire receiver room. Which, by the way, you've been saying all year, rightly, that the receiving room sucks. So
why do you care if they're leaving?
Yeah, so it's the same thing with, like, the DBs last year. Like, we lost the entire DB room. We're just like, oh, what are we going to do? We just
but you know what we did? We went out and upgraded with Jermod McCoy. Are you people dumb?
If we get Zachariah Branch from USC, that's an upgrade. Zachariah Branch was heavily underutilized. He was so underutilized at USC, and that dude is electric. Him with Nico, boom. If you want a Jalen Hyatt, I don't know if he's as good at Jalen Hyatt, but he's the closest thing we would have had.
Yeah, but who is as good as Jalen Hyatt? Honestly, he is a special talent. But you people have to understand, okay? You've got to understand. Not everybody's going to come here. Not everybody's going to want to stay here. And not everybody is going to be a system fit. Chris Brazzell is an example. Chris Brazzell is a great football player. He's an awkward fit for Josh Heupel's offense when you don't have somebody on the outside like a Jalen Hyatt. Right. And expecting every year to be like 2022 is ridiculous. Nick Saban is not walking through that door, okay? when we hired Josh Heupel, and this is the same time Nick said what he said, I said, I don't know if Josh Heupel can take us to the promised land, but he's going to take us out of this tailspin. Because you got to remember the tailspin that we were in. We had like 40 some odd players in the portal. We were facing sanctions. We had no money because we had gotten fined. And we've turned around and we won a New Year's Six Bowl. We've made the playoff. What more do you want? Even if Josh Heupel is Mark Richt, even if he is Mark Richt, give that man his props. That man deserves to never have to buy a beer ever again in Knoxville, Tennessee, no matter what else happens, based on what he was able to do. Period. Point blank, argue with a wall.
Like, he made me believe in Tennessee football again. Like, I'll be honest, at the end of 2020, I had lost all faith in Tennessee football. Like, I didn't think we were ever going to be, like, entertaining, fun. Like, 2020 was so soul-crushing. And that team was mind-numbingly terrible under Pruitt in the last year. Like, I mean, I get this year wasn't exactly the prettiest, but we still won 10 games. I mean, we could
and even before that, remember Tennessee celebrating Outback Bowls and Music Bowls as, somewhat accomplishments, and you're gonna criticize Heupel for elevating, Tennessee football to levels, haven't seen since the beginning of the 21st century. Really?
Yeah.
Right. And having so anybody that watched football last night, Josh Dobbs to Jawan Jennings, tackled by Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Plus, on that just happened last night in the NFL. Okay. And then also on that team, you had Alvin Kamara, you had Shai Tuttle was on that team. You had
Todd Gurley, I believe.
Well, he went to Georgia.
Oh no, the big.
Todd Kelly.
Todd Kelly.
Kelly. You had all these guys that played in the NFL, right? And you're looking at a Music City Bowl win, whatever the hell the bowl game was that year. It was on that level. It was one of the ones that didn't matter. You had all that talent. Butch Jones was a terrorist. He told Trevor Lawrence and friends, go to Clemson. We don't want you. Terrorist. Football terrorist. And then you bring in a guy who is now coaching middle school basketball because he sucked so bad as a coach at football. And you want to go and you want to criticize the guy that just took us to the playoff? Are you kidding? Get out of here. I'm done.
Yeah.
Vol Twitter, get a grip.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to begin wrapping things up here on this podcast. Just real quick, just shifting real quick over to the NFL. Just look at it.
Colts are bad. That's the update.
Yeah. The one thing I want to ask, so first and foremost, who's getting the 1 seed in the NFC, Vikings or Lions?
Lions.
Additionally, for the final AFC spot, do we think that, one, do the Broncos lose to the Chiefs and their backups?
Yes.
I think Broncos win.
Okay. So if Broncos lose, then do the Bengals beat the Steelers to get that final spot?
Yes.
I think that's what's going to happen. I think Broncos lose. I think Bengals are going to get that final spot. Do we think the Bucks are going to take care of business to win the NFC South?
Yes.
And I guess are we on Ravens winning the AFC North?
Yes.
All right. So I just want to get those NFL picks in real quick. Also, Tennessee basketball won again today over Norfolk State. Kind of a slow game, but whatever. Real SEC play starts. So I'm just going to put this out there. I am kind of concerned for SEC play with her depth issues. We're going to take some losses in conference play, but every SEC team is going to take some losses just because the conference is insanely deep this year.
No, but nevertheless, what an accomplishment staying undefeated with the non-con still.
Oh, absolutely. And Jonas Idy returning to Knoxville too Saturday. That is going to be hilarious to watch. Yeah. That's going to be – hey, just rough him up a little bit. He'll melt. Also, Lady Vols undefeated, also heading into SEC play as well. No one cares about the NBA. I had that at the bottom. Wemby was cool, but that's the only thing I saw on Christmas Day.
Go Pacers.
Yeah.
That Knicks Spurs game was the best probably one on the Christmas games.
Yeah. I'll say the best football game I've seen in the last 7 days, though, was Broncos-Bengals. That was such a good game on Saturday. Or the Falcons-Commanders Sunday night. But I think that's all the time that we have for this.
Just a final note of Brazilian sports. Paulinho, former Bayer Leverkusen and was at Atlético Mineiro, now going to Palmeiras, the largest transfer fee paid by a Brazilian team to another Brazilian team. I think that's going to be a huge. Palmeiras needed that. And just a quick update in the Brazilian sports. And also Boise State in the board. Tyler Krohn, AR rushing touchdown, 14-6 as well in the quarterfinal Fiesta Bowl playoff.
Wow, they handed it off to the freaking fullback. Good for them.
Yeah.
Way to fake them out. So maybe Boise State can make it a game after all. But, guys, for all the viewers out there, thank you so much for watching us through 2024. And we look forward to seeing you in 2025 as we continue to talk about all sports in the United States and Brazil, because this is the only podcast that covers both countries. For Jason, for Gus, I am Nick. Thank you so much. Have a happy New Year. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive.
Yeah.
Call an Uber for the love of God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have fun. Be safe. And we want to see you next year.
Good night and go big on.
Feliz Ano Novo. Happy New Year.